Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about the long-awaited post-human NeX GEn, brand new full-length studio album, the second entry in the post-human album series from Bring Me the Horizon.
Bring me the horizon? More like, bring me a better album? Hell yeah, brother! Woo!
Yeah, sure, bud. That was great. I love it. That was such a great, original, totally unique joke that I bet nobody has ever made in the history of mankind. That was so cool and good and great and original of you. Yeah.
You do not want to know how long it took me to come up with that, but I'm happy I said it. Woo!
Post-human NeX GEn is the seventh full-length studio album from this British rock and metal crew, one of the most popular and noteworthy forces within the realms of rock and metal and alternative music today. Poster boys at this point, I would say, for all of these genres. Champions, leaders, titans! One could very reasonably argue that this is Bring Me the Horizon at their most ambitious point yet, which is saying a lot because they've done a lot over the course of the past 20 years. Like, their debut album, Count Your Blessings, was like a very erratic kind of like deathcore record, kind of released within like that big boom of like MySpace deathcore in the mid-2000s. Then they transitioned to like melodic metalcore, and then as the 2010s rage on, they start to incorporate like electronic influences and influences from alternative rock and alternative metal. There's more clean vocals, more like big arena rock style hooks and choruses as well by the time we get to stuff like That's the Spirit. Then almost shows them going into like total pop rock and pop metal territory. The Music I Listen to EP shows them going into weird, experimental, ambient, trancey kind of territory. A lot of songs with elongated, noisy, artsy passages. It was a weird listen. A fascinating listen, but a weird one. And then, of course, the post-human survival horror EP, which kind of saw them blending a lot of these different styles and influences together. The metalcore, the alt-metal, the pop, and all the while they were collaborating with the likes of the Nova Twins, and Baby Metal, and Youngblood, and Amy Lee from Evanescence, Mick Gorder, the guy who wrote the music for Doom Eternal. And somehow still, again, someone could reasonably argue that this is the band's most ambitious, creative, most full-on funky album to date. It is a smorgasbord of everything, and I do mean everything, that Bring Me the Horizon have done from Sempiternal until now. It's got pop metal, alternative metal, it's got metalcore, it's got those experimental flavors of the Music I Listen to EP. It's all kind of meshed together, and it's all meshed together with new influences from pop-punk music, from post-hardcore, weirdly also from like breakcore, hyperpop, and of course weird, crazy collaborations galore. Under Oath pops up, Daryl Palumbo from Glassjaw, Lil Uzi Vert, Aurora, RJ Payson, several different producers on the record as well, like Zach Cervini and Dan Lancaster, both of whom have been nominated for multiple Grammys multiple times. Also, a producer by the name of Blood Pop, who's worked with Madonna, Justin Bieber, Vampire Weekend. He's worked very closely with Lady Gaga, producing Joanne and Chromatica, and also co-writing the song Hold My Hand with Lady Gaga, which was featured in Top Gun Maverick and was nominated for an Academy Award. And the end result of all of these tones and sounds and influences and ideas and collaborators mixing and meshing and molding together is a little clumsy, occasionally obnoxious, a bit of a hot mess, as some would say, but not necessarily like a bad hot mess. You know, like there's a lot of good stuff on this album. Bring Me the Horizon are good enough at writing hooks, at writing songs, and at producing and presenting them in a manner that is appealing, that you're still willing to ride with it, even if it's like, you know, super fucked up and stupid. You've got the opening number, Utopia, which is just seeping with late 90s, early 2000s pop-punk and alt-metal vibes. You have these very vulnerable, introspective lyrics delivered with a lot of emotion and a lot of spirit. That chorus especially is one of the best on the entire album, and that opening riff too. god damn, those like super distorted guitars with this kind of like sleazy but also simultaneously shoegazy kind of underbite. That's cool. I love that riff. That's awesome. Then there's Top 10 Statues That Cried Blood, which meshes pop rock and post-hardcore to surprisingly decent effect. Also, a bunch of really technical guitar work. Like, it feels like a more accessible take on something I would hear from Polyphia. Then there's Limousine, which goes into more moody, melodramatic, kind of like shoegazy alt-metal territory. A pretty blatant kind of Deftones knockoff cut, not gonna lie, but a pretty effective one nonetheless. Like, the vocal chemistry between Ollie Sykes and Aurora pretty much sells this whole thing. They sound great together. Then there's Kool-Aid, which has a bold and provocative chorus, and some more erratic, unhinged, electronics-infused metal bits and pieces, some gnarly breakdowns and grooves. It kind of feels like a mix of, like, classic Linkin Park and underneath-era Code Orange. I'm kind of loving Lost, too. Like, it's a real, genuine earworm. It really digs itself in there, you know? I like how it meshes weird manic hyperpop with like pop punk and lyrics about like medication and mental health and depression and perseverance. It's kind of like if 100 Gex did a remix of a Machine Gun Kelly song. But, you know, in this scenario, the Machine Gun Kelly song in question is, you know, good. Unfortunately, though, not all songs on this album are as successful as the ones I've mentioned thus far. The downside to being a hot mess is, you know, you have some messy fucking songs. Rip Dustcore Remix comes to mind right away. This meshes like hyperpop and breakcore and modern metalcore in a way that I just found generally kind of irritating. Like, you have all these weird little melodic electronic nuggets mixed with like screaming vocals and like raging metalcore guitars, and then like these just totally erratic fucking breakdowns with, for some reason, a literal sample of the character Sans from Undertale laughing. Why is that there? I don't know. I thought that was really fucking weird and goofy. The song NA especially, I honestly kind of hated. Like, just the idea of this, like, acoustic-driven, pop-punk, arena rock, emo anthem, but with these, like, really heavy guitars and screaming vocals kind of interjected here and there. I don't like it. And in the midst of all of this, you have songs like Dark Side and Strangers, which for some reason are just so thoroughly generic that I can't help but wonder why they were even included. Not really digging, no pun intended, the closing number Dig It either. I don't hate the idea of bringing in like more contemporary R&B into the sound, but the overall combination, it just feels a little bit too much like a watered down Sleep Token for my liking. A part of me wants to give this a 2.5 out of 5 just because it is such a mixed bag, but I'm gonna go with a 3 because I feel like Bring Me the Horizons' ability to write really strong hooks and really strong melodies, and the fact that this album remains surprisingly so cohesive and fluid despite everything, I think that just kind of raises this for me, you know? Warts and all, there's a lot of heart that was put into this album. Bring Me the Horizon really tried to really push themselves, and it didn't work 100% of the time, not for me at least, but it worked at least like 60% of the time, I would say. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna listen to Strangers or NA ever again, ever, but like, Utopia and Kool-Aid are genuinely gonna be stuck in my head for a while. I'm not entirely sure how people are going to respond to this. I definitely think that a lot of people will love it, but so far, at least on the Metal Meltdown Discord, I've seen a pretty mixed kind of reaction, so I don't know, man. A part of me wonders if this could end up being a more divisive album for the band. And if that's the case, so be it, I guess. But hey, credit where it's due. They took a couple genuine big chances, and most of them worked out. It is a bit of a hot mess, but not like it's kind of a fun hot mess from time to time, you know? Like it kind of works out okay at the end, you know? And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I am not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you can get updates on the Metal Meltdown immediately. Join us on the aforementioned Discord. Pick up some merch on the Redbubbles. Look, there's more videos here. That's so crazy. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.